Welcome to Confidently Visible, the podcast that helps you move through visibility blocks, including fear, resistance, and overwhelm to share life-changing work with the world and grow your business and attract more beautifully aligned clients that rave about your work. I'm your host, Beck Sands, a visibility mentor, a certified life coach, and an award-winning PR consultant based in sunny Newcastle, Australia. Let me guide you on how to show up as your unique self, to share your incredible work, and to grow your audience with more consistency, ease, and flow. Whether you are a consultant, an entrepreneur, a CEO, a coach, or a creative, this is the space to unlock your uniqueness, to grow your audience, and to make a bigger impact, all while feeling good about being seen. The world needs to hear your message. So let's get started. I am interrupting this podcast episode to share that we have started a waitlist for our upcoming Confidently Visible speakers training sessions that we'll be hosting in Newcastle. Now, at these sessions, we are going to support you to become confidently visible and to hone and refine your presentation style so that you can become the absolute best speaker that you can be and have so much more fun increasing your visibility and building your personal brand, whether you're in a career or business, and growing your profile to attract more beautifully aligned clients and opportunities. So in the speakers training, we will be helping you to increase your visibility to grow a thriving career or business, show potential clients and employers how good you are at speaking, to share your personal brand and expertise through effective presentation, and to support your journey to become a thought leader in your field. If you would like to find out more about when the next speakers training will be held, make sure that you jump on over to becksands.com/speaker training. That's becksands.com/speaker training to jump on the waitlist, and we'll share more details with you then. Now let's get back to the episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Confidently Visible podcast. It's so good to be here with you today. And today I'm going to be interviewing the incredible Tahnée Sanders. Tahnée a messaging strategist, a copywriter, and a ChatGPT trainer who helps experienced business owners communicate the true value of their work with clarity and confidence. Tahnée is the founder of the Strategy Studio. She partners with service-based business owners to help them to refine their brand message, to write high-converting website and brand copy, and to attract clients who genuinely appreciate their expertise. Tahnée has a background in journalism as a newspaper editor, and she's also a beautiful friend of mine, and she's got so many great insights into the use of ChatGPT for business owners. I actually did a ChatGPT training with Tahnée about 6 months ago, and it was so incredible for my business. I use it as a tool every single day now. So we're going to dive into this topic and how you can use ChatGPT and other AI tools as well in your business, as well as some of the pitfalls and things to consider around that. I can't wait for you to hear this episode, so let's get into it. Tahnée, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so excited to have this chat about all things ChatGPT.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here and have the conversation with you.
Yeah, I feel like I've done your ChatGPT training and it was so brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, because it's, I use it in my business every day. So thank you. You're the guru about all things ChatGPT for marketing and business. So firstly, let's dive into this. So tell us a little bit about your journey from, I know you're an editor of a local paper, and you are now running the Strategy Studio. So tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, it was definitely not part of the plan, as I feel like many business stories go. I was a journalist for many years, and my husband and I went to Canada, and we were meant to just be there for 1 year. And I thought I'd do something completely different because why not? When you've got, it felt like a 1 year career break to me. So I actually convinced a flower shop to give me a job in exchange for me doing all of their social media and marketing for them, because I was like, that is one skill set I can contribute, but I know nothing about flowers. So it was a bit of a trade. And they were on board, and I absolutely loved it. Although, epic rose colored glasses, that is such a hard job to do.
Yes.
It's not as beautiful and glamorous as it looks. But the
Yeah.
best part about it was it ended up being, unbeknownst to me, my foray into working with small businesses. And we didn't leave Canada after 1 year. We ended up being there for 8 years. And so over that period of time, I slowly worked with, I did work in the wedding industry for several years, but I also worked with a lot of small businesses. And I ended up working as the content strategist for an online learning company based out of the US that was creating online courses to help entrepreneurs really grow and scale their businesses. And what I realized in that role, I was facilitating a lot of webinars with a lot of small to medium sized business owners. And what they kept identifying time and time again was that they could learn all this knowledge from online courses, but if they didn't have someone to put it into context for their business and they didn't have the language to articulate the value of their business, their services, what they do, who they are, raise their profile, all of those things, if they didn't have the language, it didn't matter how much they learned, they still couldn't put it into practice. And that's
Mm.
when I just went, that's my sweet spot. That's what I love to do. I love to ask the right questions to get that information out of people. I like to craft the story. I like to tell the story, to write the story. And I thought, there's something in this. So I started my own business, and that was over 6 years ago now. We have since moved back to Australia. But that's kind of where the strategy studio came from, that desire to get the strategy out of people's brains and then also through copywriting, give them the words back to articulate that, whether that's in person or on a podcast or on their website or through any other marketing materials they might have. So that was kind of the first iteration of my business, I guess. And then in the past, maybe 2 years since AI has really blown up, there was a lot of, I guess, fear mongering out there saying AI is going to take our jobs, and particularly copywriters. Like, who's going to need a copywriter when we've got AI? And
Mm.
I thought, well, I could get all negative about it, or I could embrace it, figure this new tool out and see what I think. And I personally think it's the best tool that has ever become available to us as business owners. And it's become a huge part of my business now, both as a tool I use and a tool I teach other business owners to use as well.
Oh, I love that so much. I feel like, firstly, storytelling in business is everything, right? Because if
Yeah.
people don't know who you are, they can't really connect. You need to be able to, translate that messaging into something that people can understand. And that is a skill that I feel like, as a journalist by trade, really, that's something that, it really hones in on your unique skill set. But then also that you've evolved and really kind of gone in the face of all the fear mongering, gone, let's embrace this. Let's see what this is all about. And let's, not only learn it, but then actually show others how to use it as well. So I feel like that's such a brilliant mindset and way to do business. And I think everyone can take a lesson out of that in terms of embracing rather than feeling fear around these new tools and new technology. Because saying that you don't need a copywriter is like saying, like, since ChatGPT came around, is like saying, oh, I don't need a designer anymore because of Canva. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. There is a ton that Canva can do for you, just like there's a ton that ChatGPT can do for
mm,
you. But the way I treat any of these new tools is that they let you do that, what I would call kind of the lower value tasks that you no longer need to spend money on. You don't need to spend money on a designer to make your social media tiles for Instagram or your posts for LinkedIn anymore. You don't need to outsource copywriting to do your monthly marketing. But the benefit of that is that money you save, you can then invest into those higher value experts. So you can invest in the copywriter to write your new keynote presentation for you, or your website, those higher value things, because you haven't had to spend money on the lower value type tasks. The same with design. You can now save the money on the monthly marketing content creation piece, but invest it in the brand designer. So I think that
yes.
really, as any creative that has expertise that you feel is threatened by AI, I think if you're flexible and open-minded in your approach to it, it really is an opportunity more than a threat.
Oh, I so agree with you. You really articulated exactly how I felt about it for the last year or so, since it's kind of been, that all that fear mongering has been really ramping up. I feel like, maybe things will streamline, particularly on corporate teams where they've got, a different person doing every single little job. Maybe that will streamline a bit, free people up to do more strategic work, but you still need people to run it. Like if you
Yes.
take that person away, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Agreed.
So you still need that human element to use that tool, and to leverage that tool in a way that will work for the organization. But yeah, I love that piece. So it frees you up, and something like, I would not be like, okay, ChatGPT or AI, can you create my whole brand? Like you want if you want a professional brand, you want a designer to create all that, create all the fonts and the colors and all of the templates, and then you can feed that into Canva, and Canva will then like enable you to just design little bits and pieces, but you still need that brand. And it's the same, right, with ChatGPT.
Exactly
It's
the
like
same.
exactly the same. It's like you feed into ChatGPT, you can create all the custom GPTs, but you still need the work to be able to put into ChatGPT to give it the teachings, to give it the learnings, so that you can get the best out of that tool. Amazing. Okay. So I feel like we just kind of nailed every single question I was gonna ask you. I'm like, oh, okay, yep, no, we've done that. We've done that. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that business owners have about using AI like ChatGPT for marketing?
I think that it's kind of on both ends of the spectrum here. So one misconception is I can get AI to do everything for me. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's like, well, AI could never sound like me, so it's of no use to me. So, right,
Mm,
they're complete opposite ends of the opinion spectrum. But the reason I touch on both of them is because to anyone that says, well, I'm going to get AI to do everything for me. Well, that's the problem with that is that unless you have done the work to train your AI tool correctly, unless you've done that detailed strategic work beforehand to understand, your positioning, your real unique points of difference in your business, the key themes that your brand stands for, what your brand story is and how you communicate that. You need to have done all that work beforehand to train your AI tool in order for it to do, in inverted commas, all the things
mm,
for you. So you still do need that strategic groundwork that usually it helps to have a human do with you. So I think
yeah.
that's a misconception that, oh, I don't need anybody else. It's just going to do everything for me. So bit of
Yes.
a myth there. You need the groundwork and the strategy to teach it in order for it to do everything for you. On the
Mm,
other end of the spectrum, when people say, oh, I just rewrite everything that ChatGPT gives me because it's terrible, or Claude, or whatever your AI tool of choice is. The reason for that is back to point number one, you haven't done the groundwork to train it correctly in
mm,
order for it to write in a way that sounds like your authentic voice. And that's why you feel like you need to rewrite everything that it does for you. So those are kind of the two biggest things I see. I think the other misconception I think that people have about AI is that it replaces every role in your business. And, I have people say, oh, well, I can just put my numbers in and it can help me with my forecasting and all those things as well. Sure, it definitely can. There's no limit to what we can ask for its help with. But I do think the thing we still need to be aware of is nuance. And there's a lot of
mm,
nuance that comes from human to human interaction that, at this point at least, AI still doesn't have. So I find that, sure, you can ask AI to help you write your website, but have you had someone, it doesn't have to be a copywriter or a strategist, but have you had a member of your team, for example, ask you all of those nitpicky, tricky questions that get deeper into how you think about your brand, how you want your brand to communicate? Because if you can't get all of that out into a document, an AI tool, whatever it is, you're still going to really end up with bland output. So I think it never negates the role of really good storytelling and really good strategy in the first place.
Yes, I love this. I was having this conversation yesterday about nuance
Hmm.
I was actually being interviewed about the use of AI in property because I do some property PR, and how that's going to transform. And I was like, one of the biggest issues that we face with AI is the nuance that only humans can bring. So I
Hmm.
love that you brought that up because I feel like that is kind of one of the missing pieces that obviously only a human can really bring, a human brain with, because it's emotional as well.
Yes.
Nuance is an emotional thing. It's not, yeah, it's not like something that AI can really do. So for people that aren't using AI yet and may want to, like how would you train a chat GPT, custom
Yeah.
GPT, like what are a couple of tips around training it?
Yeah, the first thing I'd say, even before you start training it, is to anyone that feels intimidated by AI. I heard this really great analogy that I continue to use, and it said, in the world of where AI is going, we've only built the power station. We haven't yet built all the appliances that will plug into it, like the toaster and the kettle and the electric toothbrush and all of these things. And I thought that's a really great way of thinking about it because so many people say to me, I just feel like I've missed the boat on AI. Like I should have jumped on it 6 months ago, a year ago, and now I feel like I'm behind. But really, in the broad scheme of things, if you start dabbling with AI now, you will still be an early adopter in the scheme of what is going to happen with AI. So that's the
Mm,
first thing I like to say, that you're not too late to start. The
mm.
second thing I would say is just start learning how to train it. So, how do you do that? I will give you something you can drop in the show notes. It's a really basic, what I call brand voice mastery, and what I consider to be the minimum information you want to train your AI tool of choice to know about your business, so it can start to help you write in a voice much more closely aligned to your business. If you just cold go into any AI tool and say, "Help me write a newsletter on topic X," you do risk, firstly, it's going to be generic, but you're risking that it's just really plagiarizing content from other people's websites because you've told it
Mm.
nothing about your business, nothing about your point of difference. It doesn't know really who you are. So, training it in a really basic form, just answering these kind of set questions that I have, is really a starting point for it. But I would say that next level up, which is kind of the training that I've done with you, is around creating a custom GPT.
Yes.
The beauty of a custom GPT is that it's almost like creating, the way I explain it, and I'm not a tech person, just to be really clear. I use very basic language to communicate this stuff because I actually don't know the technical language. But to me, a custom GPT is like creating your own little mini version of GPT that all it knows about is your business. Yes, it can browse the internet and other things, but it's not going to continue learning across all of the other conversations you have. And this is like a sticking point I see with a lot of people. They'll come to do a ChatGPT training session with me and be like, my ChatGPT just starts keeps pulling in all these random things that I told it ages ago, and I it's not relevant to my business. And that's when I say that's because you're just having endless ChatGPT conversations.
Yeah.
And if you have a paid plan of ChatGPT, it's trained to do that. It learns across your conversations. And sometimes that's amazing. And other times that's really annoying because it doesn't need to know what you asked it to help you cook dinner last night, right? Whereas when
Yes.
you make a custom GPT, its knowledge stays in how you trained it and it doesn't get misinterpreted or confused across multiple conversations. So, from a business perspective, learning how to make a custom GPT, and it's nowhere near as technical as it sounds, is
Mm.
my absolute recommendation.
Oh, that would be great. I would definitely put that into the show notes so that everyone can grab that link and download and learn how to create your own custom GPTs. I only really jumped on this. When did we do the workshop? Like in January
Yeah, it was
or
the start of
December,
this
even?
year. Yeah, I think.
The start of this year. And I'm like, it was just game changing for me in my business because I was like, oh, wow, this can actually come up with even just things like podcast episode outlines. Like I'll pop in an idea and then it's like, here's a whole outline that I can then work from and then obviously I'll put my own human nuance and,
Mhm.
stories and everything into it. But it does a whole lot of work that might have taken me an hour to map out. It does it instantly. So, this is just, yeah, it is game changing. What's the role for you, Tahnée, just in like keeping that human element in the content,
Yeah.
and making sure that like you're not just being in a sea of sameness in, across social media, across your content content, because I feel like there is more and more of that kind of same looking content coming out. And, you can tell when things are poorly written by ChatGPT, particularly, and haven't been edited. So what's that kind of role for you still in having that human content coming out?
Yeah, I love this question because it is something I'm quite passionate about. Obviously, as a writer and as a former
Yes.
journalist, real authentic human storytelling is so important to me. What I personally believe is that I always need one element of my business that is 100% uniquely, authentically me. So
Yeah.
what I do for me at least, that's my newsletter. So any
Mm.
newsletter that I send out via my email marketing is always 100% me. And the reason for that is I need to stay really clear on who I am, what I stand for, how I communicate. And then I use that one, let's call it authentic piece of content to continue training my GPT. So even though I have a custom GPT for my business and it's my best brainstorming partner, particularly as a solopreneur, I don't have someone to bounce ideas around with. And I use
Mm.
my custom GPT as that brainstorming partner. And it is excellent for that. But I still continue each week or month or whenever I send my newsletter, I give the GPT, I continue to train it with that one piece of authentic content from me because that's the way I know it's not going to slowly start to veer and take my brand in a different direction because I continue to say, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. And
Yes.
doing that regularly, I personally believe is kind of the trick to making sure you maintain that balance between the computer and the human.
Yes, I love this so much. I actually put in, because I just finished the manuscript of my book and I put
Yeah,
that in. And I was like,
brilliant.
it was, yeah, that was game changing because it was like it knows all of the principles and it can bring it, like it even helps me create presentations and everything. So yeah, highly recommend Tahnේe's ChatGPT masterclass, and that resource we're going to pop in because it's just, yeah, it'll be game changing and it's really easy to understand. Like I'm not a tech person, definitely not. I think we realized that when I forgot to press on join audio when we first joined this call, and I was like, Andres, help me. And he was like, you've got to join the audio. And I'm like, damn it. So yeah, that's how not a tech person I am. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. Yes. Okay. What else was I going to ask you? What warning signs should someone look for if they're starting to use ChatGPT and AI a little bit too much in their content and their messaging?
I think if it spits something out to you and you go, whoa, I wouldn't have said that, right? That to me is
Yeah.
the alarm bells that it's started to lose track of who you are. And I think you'll notice if you use ChatGPT regularly and you haven't been using a custom GPT, you're just usually using the regular, chat feature,
Yeah.
over time you will feel that it starts to veer away from that original voice that you may have trained it with. And that's just the way it goes, right? But if you get to the point that it spits something out and you're like, whoa, no, I wouldn't say that, or that's really doesn't feel aligned with how my brand would communicate or how I would communicate. That I think is a bit of a red flag of, okay, I either need to start a fresh conversation and retrain it again, or you may even need to go into your chat GPT settings and look at its memory. And what I mean by that is you can actually go into your chat GPT settings and click manage memory. And what that will do is show you everything that chat GPT has remembered about your conversations. And
Mm.
when I do live workshops and I screen share and show people this, if they have their laptops with them, I take them through the steps and I get them to open up their ChatGPT memories. And people's minds are blown by how much ChatGPT has remembered. And then they'll suddenly go, oh, wow, that's why it keeps saying X, or that's why it
Mm.
keeps thinking that I'm presenting at this particular conference that I'm not, because I'd asked it to help write me a pitch, for example. And if
Mm.
you're not staying on top of those memories, because you can manage them, you can delete memories from ChatGPT's brain, if we can call it that.
Yeah.
That to me is like if you start feeling like it's not really in alignment or sounding like you anymore, either make a custom GPT or at minimum go and look at your chat GPT memories and do a bit of a clean out of its brain because it's probably remembered things or confused conversations that really aren't contextually relevant to your brand.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That's important. Just on that, so like checking the settings and everything like that. What about like the security component to
Yeah.
ChatGPT? Because I know that's a concern. Like especially if you're doing client work that could be confidential, or, and putting information in, or, just not knowing where it's going. So like, even if you check on, because I know that there is a setting in ChatGPT where you can click and say, don't use this for training,
Hmm.
which is important, right? For people
Yes.
to click. But do you still feel like, is that information like publicly available, or do you feel like it's quite secure? How do you feel about the security component?
Yeah, I think that this is really an ever evolving kind of conversation because
Mm,
I do feel like laws have in no way kept pace with the technology in this instance. So
mm,
I think I have a little image that I use when I'm doing ChatGPT training. It's this little bot, and he says, "This isn't my responsibility. I'm not a human." And the reason I always include that is because it's true. It's a computer, and we are responsible for any piece of content that we use as a result of an AI tool. And I think we can't just say, oh, well, AI wrote that. That's their fault because they are not a human.
mm,
So I think that's kind of the first thing I always keep in mind, that if I'm going to use something from ChatGPT, I'm taking 100% ownership or responsibility, I should say, for that content. I always say to my clients, never put
mm.
sensitive information in, because I feel like we just don't truly know what the end game is looking like there. So I just de I anonymize. Is that a word? I remove any
Ye-
particular names.
we
You
can
know
make
where
that
I'm
a
going
word.
with that. Yeah,
We can make that a word.
de-identify is probably a better way to say it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I will just remove particular names. I don't have an issue with putting numbers in if the numbers aren't connected to the name of the business. So if I want help kind of analyzing finances, for example, or doing some forecasting, things like that, I don't mind putting that information in
Mm.
if it's not connected to a particular business name, just so that there's the missing link, I think, is kind of, for me at least, I treat that as a bit of a safety net, that, oh, they don't know
Yeah.
who those numbers apply to. So anything that's really sensitive, I would personally never put in. But then I know other people who don't worry about that in the slightest. So I think you need to make the decision about, is this my information or is this my client's information? Because personally, I believe it's a lot of responsibility we take on when a client shares their IP with us, and we need to be
Yes.
conscious of how we use that information. So even down to considering, like, what is your AI policy that your business might have about when you use AI, how you use AI. I think those things are important.
Yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, I feel like I'm very hesitant to share too much confidential information. I did like put my business numbers in to create a snapshot for my accountant, and then I was like, oh, was that a smart thing to do? And then I deleted the ChatGPT like memory, and I was like,
Yeah,
maybe that will work. I don't know.
yeah. I think we're all learning together. And as long as we
Yeah.
stay aware and we keep up to date with how our information is being used, I think we could say the same with, like, the use of our iPhone, for example. Every time we get an iPhone, we just tick that I agree to everything, and we don't read. We don't know what we're
No.
agreeing to. We just tick the
Yeah.
box. And I
Yeah.
think that if we can just be a little bit more diligent with our use of AI than we are with our iPhones, I
Mm.
think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, and I love the tip about like if you're creating content for a client, for example, just don't put in the client name.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like a lot of what I use it for is public information. So it's like something that's already been published, and then I'll, use it to write a LinkedIn post or things like that. But yeah, I am very hesitant. Like I don't use it to write media materials or anything for my clients, because I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Because it's
like for,
very easy
yeah.
just to say, let's refer to this as client X. And then when you put it into Microsoft Word or whatever your word processor is, to do a find and replace and to re-enter in your client's information. That's very easy to do. And
Yeah.
that's probably a very simple step to, keep that respect for client information, but then still get the outputs that you need from your chat GPT or Claude or Copilot, whatever it is you use, to then put that information back in.
Yeah. I feel like also like I still write media materials because of nuance.
Mm,
Like mainly because of nuance, because I'm like, I know what the journalists that will want. I don't know. It's almost like, yeah, and getting really familiar with that content. So yeah, it's interesting how we use it, but it does streamline. It streamlines so much in my business. So it is good. But yeah, I think it is selectively using it, and then just knowing like we don't know how that's, what that information is like in terms of security. We don't 100% know where it's going. So you can click all the settings, but just be aware of it.
mhm.
What would you say to a business owner who feels a little bit overwhelmed by the use of AI, but also overwhelmed by all of the stuff they've got to do in their business. And they're like, okay, cool. Can ChatGPT just do everything for me?
Yeah. So this is where I say ChatGPT is your best brainstorming partner. So what I will often do is say, there's so many things I need to work on right now, and I don't know where to start. Help me. And that's a really good tool you can use it for. So if, it can help you prioritize, or you might say, okay, what is kind of the most high value and low value work that I need help with here? So what I tend to do is say, okay, high value work, I personally believe needs the most of my attention. The low value work is what I'm more likely to outsource in a sense to AI. So that's kind of how
Mm.
how I treat it. If I'm feeling overwhelmed with, I can ask ChatGPT to help me do a prioritized list, but then I'll look at it and say, okay, this is strategic work. This needs my brain power. Here's some lower tasks. Like maybe I've had a client email me a few questions about ChatGPT since we've done a session together. I can get ChatGPT to help me answer those questions. I don't need to sit there and compose that email. My energy is better put into helping a client with their new messaging strategy or writing their website or whatever it might be. So it's
Mm.
just thinking about where the value lies in that work in terms of what's worth getting AI to do versus what you should continue to put your brain power and IP into. So I think if you use a tool like Gmail, you can also use Gemini. Like there's a lot of AI tools out there
Yeah.
that you can use. I personally can very easily feel overwhelmed by the availability of AI tools. And then it's almost like analysis paralysis, like which ones should I be using? When should I be using them? My approach, instead of getting overwhelmed, is to say pick one that you feel comfortable with and keep using it. If you've never used ChatGPT, but you love Claude, amazing. That's absolutely fine. Don't feel that I'm saying that ChatGPT is the best tool. It's just the one that I'm comfortable with. So find the tool you're comfortable with and just go all in on learning that. You can always add more tools to your tech suite over time, but feeling great and comfortable with one is better than feeling overwhelmed, but having accounts for five of them.
Oh, I love this so much. It's kind of similar with social media, right? It's like it's better to go all in on one than have five and just be completely overwhelmed and not
Not
do any
actually
of them
post to
well.
any of them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good. And I love this idea of the high value versus low value content, or like tasks, because I feel like, yeah, AI can help with those low value
Mhm.
tasks, whereas you can then be freed up to do the high value tasks. And there is really just the crux of it.
It
Hey.
is. I personally believe that AI as a tool for me and my business has enabled me to be more creative because those lower value tasks that used to just suck up brain power for me, I can now get AI to do for me. And that gives me the bandwidth to be more creative with how I write a website or to ask better questions when I'm in a strategy session with a client because I'm using a tool like Fathom to note take for me and to give me all of the outcomes at the end of the call. And I don't need to sit there making sure that I'm using my journalist shorthand to crazily take notes. So I think that even AI tools like Fathom or Otter or any kind of digital recording you might be using, they personally, I feel like they've allowed me to be more present in the work that I do because I can sit and have a conversation with a client and not be nervous about not remembering information. That allows me to
Yes.
ask better questions. Like there's so many benefits to these tools that I believe can make us more creative in our business. And people say, is AI going to be the death of creativity? There's no original thought anymore. My personal experience is the absolute opposite is true.
Yeah, I agree. I could not agree more. I use Fathom as well, and Fathom is brilliant for it actually would just remember more than you could even possibly write down in a call because you're also paying attention, right? So you might just write a few notes, but Fathom gets everything and then it gives you like next actionable steps. So yeah,
Yeah.
Fathom's a good one as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do agree with you. I really feel like AI can help to amplify our creativity, our strategy, the way that we show up. It will free us up for the more important tasks and take away some of that day to day that used to suck all the energy, like you
Mm-hmm.
said. So, what's one small shift that our listeners could make this week to start to use a tool like ChatGPT, without losing their authentic voice with their
Yeah.
content?
I would say go to that low value task on your to-do list that you keep putting off because we all have one and see if you can use ChatGPT or your AI tool of choice to do that one task for you. And I think you just need to have that first win to realize, okay, that was much easier than I thought. And then you try the next task and the next task. So if you've had a fear of AI, or you just really haven't yet figured out where its value lies to you, just see what tasks on your to-do list could you try getting AI to help you with. And I think that might start to get you a little bit more momentum. And then the world will start to open up for you in terms of, oh, wow, I can start to see how much more I can get this tool to help me with, to free me up in my business to do other things.
I love this. And this is such an optimistic way as well to look at it when there's so much negativity around in the news. Like even just looking at the media headlines every day, you're like, oh God, okay, the world's over. But actually there's so much good happening. There's so much good that we can use these tools for. There's so much we can use AI to integrate into our business, to be more creative, to be more present for our clients as well. So thank you so much for sharing. I've loved our conversation. Where can people go to find out a bit more about you?
Thank you. You can find me at The Strategy Studio on Instagram, or Tahnée Sanders on LinkedIn. I'm sure my name will be in the show notes, so you can actually spell that one. Or you can find me at thestrategystudio.com.
Amazing. And I will link to all that in the show notes. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Confidently Visible. I hope today's conversation inspired you to show up boldly, to share your unique gifts with courage, and to move through the visibility blocks that are holding you back. If you loved this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And if you're ready to become confidently visible in your business, head over to becksands.com to join my email list and to connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time, keep showing up as the amazing, unique you that the world needs.